Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So today we are going to finish this project. Yay! As usual, I saved, can't talk. I saved the last 200 stitches for you to do on camera. I have, I think 14 colors left. I have all the zeros hidden here, so you can see the list is quite short this time. If I toggle it back on, you can see so many zeros here. So yeah, I really like this new feature here. So I think it's 14 or 15 colors. I counted it last night. I can't remember exactly how many, but yeah, we have zeroed out everything else. And the next session will be starting a brand new project. These ends are all quite long and at the end here, so yeah. In my way a bit, but we'll deal. This is one reason why I like to leave quite a bit of extra fabric on the outside. They say you only need about, 2 on each side, 2 inches, but I like to leave 4 if I have enough fabric to do that. 3 is sort of my absolute minimum, because yeah, I like to have some room between the edge of the design and the Q-snap, because the Q-snap covers up quite a bit. So. I've actually had it sometimes where I shifted it over and one side was actually not clamped onto the stand, and then I used like some binder clips to sort of, with elastics on them, to sort of hold it taut on that edge so that I could get enough space. Because yeah, the edges, I can't use pin stitches as much. I have to draw stuff along the back, and if your frame is in the way, it can be a bit of a struggle. So yeah, I'm going to finish this sort of, right before the new Legend of Zelda game comes out. Like I said, we've had it on pre-order since like January, so yeah, I could not wait for that to arrive. Okay. So I, again, don't always start at the very top of my diagonal, because I don't want to close stuff into to the left of it. So sometimes that means starting near to the bottom or in the middle somewhere. Yeah, some people are very disciplined and they like to go sort of row by row, but that's not how I do it. And however you do it is just fine. Okay, yep, 4 left of this color. So yeah, I love starting a project, but I think finishing one is probably my favorite. When you get to get zeros of the colors. I mean, I enjoy the whole journey, of course, or I wouldn't work such ginormous projects. This is a small one in comparison. So this will be just over 5 months it took to do this one. If I'd worked on it exclusively, it would have been 4 months or maybe even a little less time, but I did rotate in my firefly piece every month for about a week so worth of days. So yeah, I didn't work exclusively on the one project. So yeah, what I'm probably going to do is from this point work downward, and then I'll come back up and work downward again. We'll see, but sort of just glancing at the colors right now, yeah, that's what it's looking like to me. I plan ahead a bit, but sometimes the plan changes as I stitch, so we'll see. Yeah, that was one thing I found when I stitched cross country. I would be spending a lot of time planning where to travel my thread and instead of stitching. So yeah. Here I find I'm only planning sort of a little bit at a time, so I'm spending more time stitching and less time planning. Okay, so yeah, I have so many threads, but I still got to attach one here. Only a dozen of this color left. So we'll see. On my last project, I found that my counter hit 100% when I still had a few stitches left. I find with the really big projects, there's a greater margin of error in the percent counter. So we'll see. So we're not done until every color is at a 0. Yeah, so my house is covered in sticky notes. I'm, like I said, still trying to learn Hungarian. So a tip was that you label things with the what it is in the language you're trying to learn. Pardon me, and I write it and then write it phonetically because, yeah, it's not always pronounced the way it looks like to me. So, yeah. A little lower pressure than the flashcards because, yeah, sometimes I get quite frustrated with those because I'll be going through it and going, oh my gosh, you saw this one like 10 seconds ago. Why can you still not remember what it was? But so this way it's a little lower pressure, you know? Yeah. Sort of when I go to get a glass from the cupboard, there's the sticky note saying what cupboard is in Hungarian, so try to sort of bring it together and maybe give you a mental picture too if you keep seeing it on the object. Yeah. Let's see if I can get these last few stitches out of this. It is going to be close. Goodness. Yeah, we should get it. Yeah. I was going to say, as long as we don't get a knot or a tangle in the thread, but I didn't want to say it until I was done and jigs myself. It's like, I know that's not actually a thing, but Okay. Yeah, and then it will be time to take this off the frame, remove my grid lines, and do an update video showing you all what it looks like when it is all complete. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun stitching this one. It's had beautiful colors in it. Very vibrant colors. Here we go. We will get our first 0 of today. First but not the last. bee or something flew into my window. At least it wasn't a bird. I think the bee flew off again, so it was okay. Okay, so 3, 3, 6. Grab that envelope out. And that is done. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a bit further than I want to carry this piece, so I'm gonna tie this off here. I'll start a new one when I get to those other stitches over there. Oh, that didn't work. Hate when I do that. Only got one strand. Ah, because they're uneven. There. So I thought I'd threaded both strands into the needle there, but I had not. So try that again. Yeah, so my husband is driving back today. He had to do a long trip in the next province, and when he headed out, there were wildfires going on, so yeah, he couldn't take the route that he normally does. And he said it sucked because they didn't update the GPS, so sometimes you'd think you could go that way, then when you get there, no, it's closed, you got a detour. And then he said too, they detour you and they don't sort of give you any more direction off that. It just, you know, detour, turn this way, and then you're kind of on your own, you know. And he said, like, good thing for GPS because I don't know the area, you know. Oh, so yeah, but we had some rain since he was there, so hopefully it looks like things are opening up. Yeah, they had to evacuate. A lot of people had to evacuate, but they're being allowed to return home now, so yeah, that should mean things are out of or under control and, you know, or extinguished. So yeah. Yeah, unfortunately we get fires around here quite a bit. We had a couple of years where it was really bad sometimes. Like I had once, I think our son was about 3 or 4, and it was so bad you could not see the houses across the street. It was so thick. Yeah. And if you did have to drive somewhere, you know, they recommended that you keep all your vents closed and just recirculate the air and such, because yeah, it was awful. And yeah, kiddo wanted to play outside, and it was like, no, you know, we're not going outside unless we have to, because yeah, you don't want to be breathing that in. It's not good for you. I remember my eyes were burning from it in the air, even from staying in the house. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we have never had to actually evacuate our area, knock on wood. But yeah, we have had really bad smoke in the air. We had one time I was at work and it rolled in, and it was dark enough that all the street lights and everything came on. And I was driving home at noon for lunch, and yeah, like you had to have your headlights on and everything. It was just so weird. Okay, yeah, I think that is it. You'll need a new thread. Yeah, I felt really bad for people who've got, you know, respiratory conditions. Like, it was bad enough breathing it in, but I mean, we're very fortunate that nobody had like asthma or anything, because yeah, that would really suck. All right, and again, yeah, I don't want to carry it that far over, so just secure this and start with a new one when I get there. Okay, 8, 2, 3. Yeah, hard to believe this year is flying by. It's going to be the end of the school year before we know it. Yeah, my son is hoping to get a summer job this year too, so he can pay for his fuel for his truck. Because yeah, we told him that's going to be one of your responsibilities as a driver. So plus, let him get some work experience before high school is over, and wants to save up some money to buy himself a new computer because his old one is, yeah, well, I think close to 5 years old, so it's starting to lag and cause problems. Yeah, they don't last forever. I think too he plays a lot more open world games on his, so I probably wears things down faster. I do play games on my computer, but they're like downloadable games from like Big Fish games, so yeah. My computer is about 5 years old, but fingers crossed it's still working decently. So oh yeah, I had one old computer I remember, and I think the motherboard in it was dying. It was awful. So I remember I was trying to play a computer game, and it was a hidden object game, and so when you'd pick up an object, it would do this sort of woo, and like this flash of light would go across the screen. But because it was like either my motherboard or my processor or something was dying, so you would pick up something and it would be like, and it would take like 20 seconds to do that little, you know, flash effect. Oh, so you could play, but it was so tedious. And you couldn't turn that off either. So yeah. Oops. Yeah, somebody said, you know, it's when it works slow that is honestly the worst than not working at all. Like I said, yeah, no Wi-Fi. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But when it's bad Wi-Fi, yeah. It feels worse because it's like teasing you with, oh, it's working, it's almost working, it's almost, no, it didn't. Okay, 413. All right. Yeah, so 48,000 exactly. Actually, I can't remember the last time I had a project that ended on a round, sort of by the thousands number. The last one was like 224,950, so yeah. And like the Marvelous Garden that I'm going to do next is like 306,900. Yeah, 306,900 or something like that. So okay. There, a little trimmed a bit. Remove that because sometimes otherwise you stitch it in with your working thread and then it can be really tough to remove later when you don't want something to get caught. Yeah. Versus when you do. Yeah, so like I said, worked downward. Now I'm going to go up a bit more and work downward again, and then until we get to the very edge. Yeah, so it's also getting to the time of the year when you find out if your the TV shows that you watch have been renewed for another season or not. Yeah, so far most of the ones I like have been renewed or we're still waiting, but yeah, it was kind of sad they ended the Resident medical drama show that I quite enjoyed. And it wasn't like left on a cliffhanger per se, but like they did have some storylines that I wouldn't have minded seeing them continue to get fleshed out. So yeah. Oh, I was really sad when last year Kim's Convenience ended quite abruptly. Yeah, you could tell that there were plans for it to go longer, but it yeah, they said one of the excuse me, one of the creators who was working on it decided to leave, and so the other part of the team decided to end the show because well, he said he sort of didn't want it to lose its magic. So, which I can respect because yeah, that happened in one of my favorite shows, Red Dwarf, which is a British sci-fi comedy of the 80s and 90s. And yeah, for season 8, I always tell people just skip that one. Pretend it didn't happen because yeah, it was not good. Because you could tell one half of the team was gone and the chemistry they had from working together wasn't there anymore, and it just yeah, was not fun, as funny as it used to be. Then the guy came back later and they did some more shows, so it worked out then, but yeah. Sometimes you just can't recreate that magic. You need all the pieces there, and if you take one away, it's just like a Jenga tower, and it just, yeah, just falls down. So. Make sure I didn't accidentally pause my recording. Okay, good. I hit the control there with my thumb in the corner, so I just wanted to make sure, yeah, it was still there, because that would have sucked. Yeah, so I was saying my husband had to work out of town. Yeah, he ended up having an extra 4 hours tacked onto the trip because of the detours, so that really sucked. So So yeah. So it ended up being a 12-hour drive instead of an 8-hour, yeah. Yeah, when we go to visit family in the next province, it's a 15-hour drive each way, and we do it all at once, so it's exhausting. But we tried where we broke it up into 2 days, and yeah, we found like sort of the midpoint where we could stop isn't quite in the middle, so yeah, sort of you would drive the first day, 6 hours, and then you would stop there, but it was like, well, you felt like you could keep going, and then the second day you were driving 9 hours, and it still felt like forever, so yeah. And oh, we were annoyed too, because one time, the hotel we stayed at, there were people out in the parking lot at like 2, 3 a.m. all yelling and being rowdy and throwing beer bottles around, and we called, we called up to the front desk, excuse me, and sort of said like, can you guys do something about that? And they basically told us, well, you call the cops. We're like, look, it's your hotel, And yeah, so they finally did do something about it, but yeah, it was not good. So we're like, we're not staying there again. Weren't happy about it. Yeah, unfortunately, you get inconsiderate people sometimes. We had the people next to us, they had like 6 or 7 people staying in the one room. And they couldn't be bothered to deal with keys. So somebody had it so that the slide lock deadbolt thing, they had it open so that the door wouldn't close and automatically lock. So then it went all night long, you were hearing that door go slam against that bolt. And it was just like, come on, people. There's other people in the hotel trying to sleep, I'm not saying you have to tiptoe around, but I mean, really? But yeah, unfortunately, some people are just ruddy inconsiderate. Oh, I remember when I was in 12th grade, we went on retreat. And some people in the cabin don't need to sleep, I guess. And they started freaking playing music on a stereo at like 4 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning. And I got down out of my bunk and I said, you guys, can you keep it down? People are trying to sleep. And I hear them mocking me later. Ooh, can you keep it down? Like, again, 3 in the morning. I'm not the jerk here. I said, you're lucky I didn't march into that room, grab that boombox, take it with me and say, you're getting this back in the morning. I mean, come on. Oh, and then I remember they asked at the end if we had suggestions. And I said, give people a cabin for the people who actually want to sleep, separate from the people who don't give a damn about sleeping, like, oh my gosh. I don't know how other people, they survive on very little sleep, but I need my sleep or I get very grumpy. Oh. And it's not like I expect you to have lights out at like 7 p.m. or something, but yeah, 3 in the morning, people are sleeping. Don't be a jerk, So I hope they took that suggestion to heart, because I'm sure I'm not the only person. I even had, at the end we were signing, it wasn't yearbooks, but like, something similar. Everybody had to make a poster about themselves and the people signed it. And there was somebody who said, oh, thank you for being one of the quiet sleepers in our cabin. So yeah, it certainly wasn't just me. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, it was funny because I remember my last year of French class, we had a combined grade 11 and 12 class. So the grade 12s had gone on their retreat that year. And the French teacher sort of asked, how was your retreat? And the guy was like, it was très de fromage. She kind of looks at me and says, well, I'm trying to say it was really cheesy. But I guess it didn't translate very well. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I was very happy to be a low maintenance kind of gal because there was such a huge jam in the bathroom of, you know, girls blow drying their hair and stuff, and it was like I didn't care, you know, take my shower, let my hair air dry, or put it in a bun or something, you know. Yeah, I'm too lazy to do all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, like I have a blow dryer, but I probably blow dry my hair like 2 or 3 times a year. Only when we're going somewhere special. Yeah, otherwise I cannot be bothered. Okay. Quite a few needles in play, but so far we are managing to stay untangled. Yeah, this is a bit of a longer carry, but I think I'm going to do it anyway this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from that edge. That's still, I think, slightly closer than the other ones that I decided not to carry, so yeah. There's only guidelines here, no hard and fast rules, so yeah. Okay, so we have 2 of this parked, and they're both fairly long. Okay. We will just use them both. Oh, pardon me. Oh, we're almost down to our last 100 stitches. Link's mouth snout looks funny in the Deku form. It's funny if he drinks milk in the game, he blows a little milk ring at the end after he drinks it. I always thought that was quite funny. And he sounds funny when he walks too, little squishy wet sounds. Okay. Okay, and that makes that another 0. Woohoo! Okay, yeah, so this one is going to put us past the 100 stitch mark I've done today. Okay, so I don't usually cross as I go, but I'm going to this time because I want the thread to end up on the opposite side of where I started. So I'm going to do that. So I think it's just long enough to do the other 3 stitches that are sort of near the end of this run here. Oh, come on. If I could get it to cooperate, that is. Okay. Feeling that one wasn't threaded yet. Hadn't gotten to it yet. Yeah, so my sister-in-law and her fiance had their Legend of Zelda themed wedding, and it went off well. They had beautiful weather since they were outside, so that was really nice, yeah. And she sent a couple of pictures, and they look absolutely adorable as Link and Princess Zelda, so yeah. Yeah, I wish we could have been there, but it was a destination wedding, so yeah. You know, and it's in the middle of the school year, and we said sort of, if you're going to go to Ireland, you know, you want to stay for at least a week or 2, you know, because staying isn't as expensive. It's the getting there and back that is the really expensive part. And yeah, so if you're going to go all the way to Ireland, you want to make it worth it. Yeah. So yeah, they're having their honeymoon after the wedding there. So yeah, but they're going to have a reception back here when later this year, so that we're definitely attending because we can drive for that. Yeah, they sent us the invite saying, you know, we know it's a big ask. If you could make it, we would love it if you would be there, but, you know, they understand that it's not feasible for everyone. And yeah, you know, can't take off a ton of school with kiddo, especially near the end of the year, you know, when you've got you're getting near to the exams and things. Yeah, I remember when I was in 3rd grade and my sister was in kindergarten, we went to Disneyland for like a week, and my parents actually took time off of school for us, so we missed a week of school, but it was in October, so, you know, beginning of the year, you have more time to catch up on whatever it is you missed. Yeah. Plus, you know, it's a lot easier to catch up when you're in 3rd grade versus when you're in 10th grade, right? Yeah. But yeah, and we went then because it was sort of the off-peak season, so it was a better deal. And the lines for the rides were not as bad as they are in the, you know, in the peak times in the summer. So yeah. Yeah, my husband's never been. I've been twice. We went when I was a kid, and I went once in high school. I was in tour band, and yeah, that was one of the trips we went on. And it was really fun, actually, because, we got to do a workshop where we got to practice recording part of a soundtrack just for fun, right? It was for Beauty and the Beast, which had been out for a few years. But anyway, they got you to sort of see what the actual experience of working in a professional, you know, orchestra doing soundtracks is like. And yeah, it's really interesting because the music doesn't always go at a very steady pace. You know, it can slow down and speed up depending on the mood of the scene. And so the conductor has to has to do that, and he does that by, they said they get made a click track, which is like a metronome, but of course it's not completely steady like a metronome. It tells them when to speed up, when to slow down. So he has that in some headphones, and then he has to show you the beat going along with the clicks, and then you have to follow him. And yeah, it was pretty challenging. We were doing the song of the ballroom dancing scene, and every time about 2/3 into it, we got lost trying to follow the beat, because the tempo of the music changed quite a bit. And yeah, so we tried it, I think, 3 times, and we couldn't manage, but they let us listen to what we did record. And yeah, it was along with the movie scene, so you could see how it fit together. And yeah, it was really fun. I actually considered maybe I'd want to do that for a living when I grew up. Yeah, so I played the flute in the high school band, so I still have my flute, but I haven't touched it in a long time. In fact, if I wanted to play it again, I would probably have to look at a chart for where to put my fingers for the different notes, because it has been a long, long time since I played, so I've forgotten most of what I learned. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think I may have just too many needles here at this point. So I'm going to reset this here. Sometimes I could manage with about 15 needles, but sometimes it's just not happening. So that's okay. I can thread a needle pretty quick, so it's not too hard to redo all this. So make sure I didn't drop a needle down where I'm sitting, because that could give me an uncomfortable surprise later. Yep. Okay, there we go. Oh, I divided that, didn't I? Yeah, look at that. Silly me. Goodness, you have quite twisted around. Okay, we won't unthread that one. I think we can just carry on with it. They got a bit tangled around each other, so we have to cut the needle off at that point. That happens sometimes. One of the hazards of my method. So yeah, I know some people say that they just cannot handle using multiple needles like I do, and that's totally understandable. My chaos method isn't for everyone. Okay, and another 0. Woohoo! Okay. So keeping those in the tub, but I have a piece of cardboard divider between them so that I don't mix up what's still to be used from the ones that are completed. Okay, I think this one is long enough for all of those. Yeah, so I am just going to tie off this thread after I do this stitch here that it's parked in. Okay, 80 stitches to go. It's the final countdown. Okay. Yeah, and then after this, I'm gonna, like I said, pull out the grid lines, and then I'll pull colors for my next project, and soon it'll be time to work on that one. That one should take me I'm estimating 20 months, so not quite 2 years, but we will see. Because, yeah, that one has quite a lot of blocks of color in it. It's not as confetti heavy. So there's that. So, yeah, we will see. Because I'm basing that on, I can usually do about 15,000 stitches a month on my main project. Sort of 12 to 15. It depends on the amount of confetti, but as there's not much confetti, I'm guessing it's going to be more, but no deadline. Yeah. As with all my projects, it'll be done when it's done. Yeah, it's a good thing I don't have a deadline because I have a sweater I'm working on for knitting that I started in, geez, 2016? I don't know, but it was pre-pandemic, so yeah, it's been on the needles for quite a long time. I'm on the last sleeve, so the whole body and everything else is knit, and I just need to do that last sleeve, but I don't like knitting sleeves. I knit them seamlessly, which means I have to, yeah, do some adjustments too. So I knit on 2 circulars, which means a lot of moving stitches around. So, yeah. Because, yeah, I don't like using double pointed needles. They are a pain. I'm always trying to not keep stitches from falling off the ends of them and stuff. So, yeah, I don't use that method. But even the 2 circular needles can be sometimes. Yeah. So, because the nice thing is when you're knitting the body, you can do it on a huge circular needle, and it just sort of, the work just sort of flows uninterrupted as you keep doing each row or round, depending on how it is you're stitching. So, but yeah, with the sleeves, I find you're kind of, you can't really get into a rhythm, because by the time you do, it's time to move the stitches around and use a different needle again. So, yeah. Yeah, and like I've said in previous videos, for some reason, knitting gives me repetitive stress more than cross stitching. I don't know, it could be from the weight of the knitted piece pulling down, whereas, you know, with cross stitching it's just a thread, so you're not really holding any weight, especially if you're like me and I don't hold the frame. I have it in a stand that holds it for me. So yeah, so I'm thinking that might be it. Also, there's fewer built-in breaks too, as there is with cross stitching. Yeah, because stopping to change colors and stuff, like I've said before, gives me enough of a built-in break that I don't get as sore so easily. Okay. Just gonna make this control go away. Double check again that I didn't stop it. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of covers a bit no matter what you do. But this way it covers a little bit less. 47,930. So 70 stitches left, but -1 pretty soon. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna check again both lengths. All right. There. Grid line wanted to come up too. Sometimes when I get to the edge, I just cut the grid line at that point. Because, I mean, this is done, so I don't really need it anymore. Yeah. But pulling them out all at the end is kind of satisfying. It's like when you get to peel the protective sticker off something. That's fun. Or at least I enjoy it. My husband now brings me all the stuff so I can peel them off because he doesn't care, but yeah. So when we got the new TV, yeah, I got to peel the whole thing. That was fun. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was bad for picking labels and peeling them off because I found it satisfying. Oh, this one got a knot in it. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah, you're not gonna want to cooperate with me, huh? Okay. Yeah, got a knot right around the eye of the needle. Sometimes when you are pulling the needle through, you can accidentally stitch back into your thread, and then, yeah, that happens. So let's just cut that out. There we go. Doesn't happen often, but it is annoying when it does. Goodness, there we go. Oops, that was meant to be a park, not a completed yet. Will be in a second, but as usual, I didn't want to close in that stitch that was above it, so we'll do these first, and then this will be another 0, and that other thread I just parked will be another. Yes, it's like I said, my favorite part. You get to 0 everything out. Get to empty out my working tray. Say 0 stuff up and put it away. Okay, and 0. Okay, and another. Okay, and other one done. Okay, two of this color parked quite close together. Let's see. It's medium length and another medium length. So yeah, we're probably going to use both of them. So I'm going to kind of split it. Well, technically I have three. I have another one down further here. But yeah, I'm going to probably kind of split this patch of color up a little bit. And use all of my threads that are in this area. I think we can avoid having to add yet another one. Okay, the other one parked. Okay. Tell by the amount of resistance there, I didn't quite get it in the right spot. I pierced the fabric there when I did not mean to. Oh, you are just going to not cooperate, huh? There we go. There. Now it's correct. Probably nobody would have noticed, but yeah, since it was still fixable because I hadn't tied off the thread yet, I figured I might as well fix it. Okay. Oh, did I park something wrong? Oh yeah, look at me. Pfft. That's very wrong. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I should be here. I don't know what I was thinking there. My goodness. I'm sure some of you saw it and was like, what are you doing? Okay, that's another one done. And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Okay, again, I'm gonna check. Right, I did check, but I'd forgotten. Okay, I think those other 2 threads are going to be enough to handle all these stitches in to the right of this, so I'm going to tie this one off. Hope I don't regret it later. Of course, making sure that I'm threading all my ends in towards the center of the piece so that none of them stick out past the edge of the design. Especially with these dark colors, you don't want to risk it showing through your fabric later when you're finishing it. Okay, $37.99. Oh, I wasn't done that color yet. Haha, I got into such a rhythm. Oh well, I'll deal with it later. Yeah, of stuff being zeroed that I forgot that one isn't at 0 yet. Oh, I'll just pull it back out again. Silly me. Okay, I have to actually add a color. Yeah, almost everything else was already attached. Oh, I see now. There's his other hand. I couldn't figure out what I was stitching, but yeah. That's his other hand, and his fingers spread out like they are on the other side. Sometimes you really just can't see it till you back up a bit. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the threads that I have attached already will be enough. So I made the right decision to tie off the other one that time. I wasn't sure, it was kind of close, so. It's just kind of looped around on itself funny, so just straightening that out so it doesn't form a knot. So yeah, if you keep stitching with it that way, that can happen sometimes. So rather take some time to smooth it out and prevent that from happening. Okay, less than 10 left. Don't want to do that. Needle was coming through to the front. That would not look good. Yeah, it takes a little practice to learn how to thread this along the back from the front without turning your work, but yeah, once you do, it's really nice. Yeah, I tell people I did it was the first few times I tried to do it from the front without looking. Then I turned the work to double check that I had actually caught. And then after a while, you can tell just by feel if there's enough resistance against the needle as you're pushing it through, then you know you caught it all. The stitches that you need to keep it secure. If it slides too easily, then you haven't caught enough. You have to back up and try again. Okay, so that was another 0. We're down to the final 3 colors. So yeah, I accidentally moved that envelope, but I think it won't really matter at this point. We are so close. So it says 99.99%. We'll see if it actually switches to 100 at the same time or not. But like I said, when it's a project with a higher stitch count, there's a greater margin of error. So sometimes it turns to 100 before you're actually completely done. But this one might be pretty close, as it's not as many. We'll see. Nope, it went to 100 when I still have 2 left. So yeah, like I said, there's a tiny little margin of error there, so that can happen. Yeah, we're not quite done. Rearrange the envelopes here. Okay. The last 2 stitches. And ta-da! 100% done. So all of these are at 0. Those are all my new ones that I did today. If I toggle this back, you can see all the old zeros too, so everything is at 0. So yeah, woohoo! So yeah, you got to see this one from the very first stitch to the very last. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. And I will take this off the frame, take out my, my grid lines and show you what it looks like when it's completely done. And yeah, the next session we do, I will be working on Marvelous Garden by Heaven and Earth Designs, the peacocks. So I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining me today. Okay, bye.